Okay. Hello, everyone. I got my drink. Okay. We have this show with Billy, and every time we do the show, it's different. Sometimes we play music, sometimes we jam. But today, I want to talk about a concept that I've been studying. So I study and listen to sermons and things like that. And I want to talk about the concept of facing your giants. Okay. So have you heard of the story of David and Goliath?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you know anything about this story or?
Um, Not really. I mean, the the kid is small, right? Or the guy's small, and he beats the giant by throwing a rock at him,
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's like
Jam
the
on.
underdog wins is the proverb there.
Yeah. Oh my God, Jenna's here. Okay, cool. Hi, Jenna. Let's jam on giants. Okay, yeah. So okay, I guess the idea of I mean, every story in the Bible has like some larger lesson in life, and I think the lesson of David and Goliath is like beating things that are huge. You
Mm,
know, so like facing your giants could be like anything that basically is huge or seemingly insurmountable in life. You
yeah,
know.
something
So
that's beating you down, kind of,
yeah, or
or
like something
could.
that's intimidating. It could be a circumstance, a situation, a relationship. You know, have you ever faced a giant situation?
Every day. It feels like.
Every day. Jenna and Kimber, do you have any giants in your life? So I mean, I guess I was thinking as a producer, like basically one of your jobs is to tear down giants for people or like
Yeah,
because like giants are things that are like a huge undertaking for somebody like and I think like going into the studio could be a giant for some people.
it is for a lot of people because they don't do it every day.
Yeah.
Like I've said it before, I do it every day, and I always have to remember that they don't. Your average person doesn't spend every day in the studio, so it probably feels like an insurmountable thing sometimes to some people.
Yeah.
You know.
So well well I mean people get really nervous in the studio, they freak out, they clam up, all kind of stuff, and I think when we're working with developing artists, like they face things that are giant to them,
Yeah.
whether it be like a fear of the crowd or a fear of, you know, I don't know, like saying the wrong thing, or I mean, there's just like a million things that could be like these giant, seemingly insurmountable things.
Mm. Like a
Um,
tour or something.
oh, a tour could be a big giant.
Hmm.
Um, it could be like you have to go on tour and there's a conflict with a bandmate. That could be a huge giant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I guess let's talk about just like going into the studio with a band. It's like they have like 10 days ahead of them in the studio, and it's like this giant undertaking. Like they have to get all the songs out, they have to get them done correctly enough. Blah 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 blah. So like, how do you guide them through the process of like tackling this huge thing?
It kind of varies from band to band or even person to person, but I usually just try to reassure them. Start with reassuring them that we got this. It's gonna be really cool. We're gonna get there, and if problems arise, we'll take care of them as they come, but we'll get there. Kind of because we have to, but I don't really say that all the time. But yeah, we kind of got to get there because this is the time that we have. So I just try to be reassuring,
Mhm.
encouraging.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said there about like handling problems as they come because I think one of the things that helps me to slay giants is like taking them step by step.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at your screen right now, and there's a lot of waveforms up there, and this is
That's
like
only the drums.
oh wow, that's a
That's
lot
the
of
guitar.
waveforms. Like that one file is a giant to me. Like
Yeah.
how do you tackle this huge file?
I mean, one at a time. You get them all sounding good individually, kind of,
Yeah.
but they have to work together. So, um, yeah, like the pink ones are the drums, and you can zoom out to where they're smaller,
Yeah, yeah. So you don't get overwhelmed by something with like 100 tracks. You
No.
just go in one track at a time.
Well, if you have to, like for instance, like those first 20 are the drums, and they're kind of they are individual tracks.
Here, I'll show you guys what we can see here.
They are individual
Look
tracks.
at all those tracks.
The pink ones are the drums, but like you just have to get them sounding good as a drum set, and then you move on to what's next, like the bass. These orange ones, the bass is only 3 tracks, and you get that sounding good, and then
Yeah.
working together with the drums, and you move on to the guitars and so forth.
Okay, so let's talk about Jenna's giant, which is guilt. Have you ever dealt with guilt?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I have.
So, what would you say about guilt? I know you're not God. I do have a lot of God quotes in my notebook if we run out of things to talk about.
Guilt is strange to me because it, depending on the circumstance, like you can carry guilt for your whole life. You know, I certainly do about some things, um, like family stuff that I could have been there more for or whatever. But like sometimes you're guilty momentarily. Guilt can go away pretty quickly depending on the circumstance.
Hmm.
Like things you might feel bad about for a moment, you don't in a couple of days or something. It just depends on the severity and the conditions.
Jenna,
But
what
it
do you
trips me
feel
out.
guilty about? I mean, if you don't mind sharing. Yeah, I mean, I do think, okay, so in kind of my studies of this, like, okay, so if you take, okay, David apparently ran into the army of like he was this tiny little guy and Goliath is huge and David ran at him,
Hmm.
right? And it's like I think let's say something makes you feel guilty. I think biblically speaking, it would be better to run at the situation as opposed to just like loosely let it sit there. What do you think about
I
that?
mean, maybe he had a death wish and he got lucky. you know, maybe he's just like, screw it, I'm going in, whether I live or die. You don't know.
Well, do you know that eagles fly into storms?
Yeah,
Why? What's the deal with that?
they're not afraid of them.
Really? Well, Shane was saying that eagles flying to storms is actually an offensively defensive move because if you fly into the storm, it doesn't like push you away from it. It's like
Right.
like running at something is a defense in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, the airplanes, airliners, they generally will fly right into a storm.
Really.
I mean, if they can go around it, they generally will. But like, if they're too close to it to go around, they'll fly right into it. You turn up your speed.
Well, I guess like if we equated this to someone having to go into the studio to do an album, it's like you don't like avoid the album
No,
situation. You fly right
you
into
have
it.
to fly right into it. And like with football, like you're not going to get anywhere by running backwards. You have to run right into it, right
Yeah.
into the problem. That's how you win. You know, it's similar, not the same, but similar with the music giant or whatever you're going to call it. Like you have to, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't face it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like in production, at least TV production, some of the giants we face are like people feeling unattractive, or people feeling like they don't say the right thing, or people feeling awkward about presenting the. I mean, there's just a lot of giants that kind of sit there looming, and I do as a producer run right into them. I'm like, oh, you feel unattractive, well, let's talk about that. Like I'm always like, oh, you're afraid of speaking in public, let's talk about that. Like, and I think I'm annoyingly aggressive at handling problems. I think that's annoying to some people.
I can see how it could be troubling, but usually those people feel better after they do it, don't they?
Well, that's what I think it's like pulling out a big sliver. It hurts for a second where you have
Hmm.
to kind of get told like there
Yeah.
So Jenna's saying she feels guilty about everything, but I think it's rooted in being an unwanted pregnancy. Guilt for existing, spilling out into guilt over everything.
Hmm.
Dude, an unwanted pregnancy, now that's a giant.
I was that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, without going into too much detail, my mom once told me that I I wasn't planned, but appreciated once I got there, and there was no way she was going to give me up once she was pregnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was not a willing participant,
Yeah.
as she said.
Well, can you imagine being pregnant with an unwanted baby? That is a
Yeah,
giant.
that
Like,
would suck.
well, but I think this is one of those things where it's like, okay, we're like kind of like trying to figure out what is a giant. I think an unwanted pregnancy is a perfect example of a giant. It's like this thing that is going to happen,
Mm.
whether or not you like it or not. It is huge. Like everyone's mad at you, blah 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 blah, and it's like that is a giant situation. Um, Credit card debt can be a giant. You know, there's just so many of them.
Yeah, and
Uh,
running headfirst at that probably won't do you much good. You just have to pay it off. Like it's not something you can immediately quell.
Well, I do think you can deny and ignore your credit card
Yeah,
debt,
sure.
or you can listen to like all of these information sessions about paying off your debt and like get really adept at debt, even if you have it. Like I think you can run at your debt, or you can just let it loom large over you.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you can run at it, but it does take a while to pay off if you don't have the money, obviously.
Well, I think some giants do take a long time to quell. I mean, like
Mm.
how long do you work on an album?
Oh, anywhere from a week to 8, 10 months.
Yeah, and that's something that kind of looms large over somebody's head, but
Yeah,
like because you're taking it step by step, running into it, attacking it head on, it is getting handled.
yeah, yeah. That's one way of looking at it for sure. A lot of times it's you want to run at it head on, but like you maybe the band runs out of budget for a month until they can get more money going or something like that. Like you can't always run at it, you know, immediately. You have that attitude, but you kind of sometimes have to chill on it.
Well, okay, so a lot of what I'm studying is okay, so they say that like David, okay, so if David would have focused on Goliath, he would have been beaten, basically.
Mm.
But like a big part of the story is that he focused on God who was with him. I mean, whether or not you believe in God, God is the concept here of like aligning with faith and higher whoever created
Mm.
Goliath in the first place and David, right?
Mm.
Like so it's like he focused on the situation with God in his heart,
Mm.
not Goliath in his heart. What do you think of that?
Um, I mean, I could see it. I could see that being the whole moral to that story. I would have thought or hoped that the moral would be, you know, face your problems or whatever, but it's with the caveat of face them with God. Yeah.
Well, I get okay. So, but I think the reason God is applicable there with what you're just talking about is that sometimes you have to wait and have faith during like you're trying to pay off your debt, but you have to wait for more money to come in, or you have to wait for on something, and it's like you can't like with the album. It's like there's a point where you have to stop and wait for a track from the drummer, wait for the and it's like,
Mhm.
and if you have faith or you have this feeling of like there's a larger world force at present that it's not just you alone facing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Facing stuff alone is pretty challenging a lot of times. I mean, sometimes you just have to pull yourself up and do it by yourself, but like, it's always good to have somebody right there with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another lesson. Like we've definitely learned over where we work is that we don't really face Goliaths alone, and like we work with a team, and I learned that in recovery is like you should never solve a problem alone. And I think so. We've learned to do everything in a team, and so it's like if there's something that is big for you, whether it be starting your own show or maybe these people are going to start teaching their own class or I don't know what the next Goliath they're going to take on is, but I definitely think that as a team we can get it whatever it is. Then I think it. I mean, you're a big team player person.
I like the concept of team for sure. Like a lot of stuff I do is by myself or whatever, but I like the concept of it. With a partner, I feel like having a teammate is one of the most important parts of having a relationship.
Yeah,
I haven't had a whole lot of luck finding somebody that is of that same mindset, but like, I don't
dude,
know.
what am I, chopped liver? No, I'm just kidding. I know I'm your friend. Friends are teammates too.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but it's true. Like I think there's a few lessons in this. One is like handle it step by step. Like if you have a big issue, like even if have an unwanted pregnancy and you have to like unveil it to like all these people who are going to be upset, it's like take it one step at a time. Like today I'm going to tell so and so and deal with the emotional labor of that, and tomorrow I'm going to tell so and so and like I mean I think if we try to handle a Goliath in one big chunk, like we will feel overwhelmed. But if we can like break it down into steps, like so I don't know what the steps for Jenna like releasing guilt would be. I mean, like one could be like to read a book on guilt, like watch a YouTube video on guilt. Talk to your three best friends about how they feel about guilt. Make your own podcast about guilt. Like you could definitely run into guilt head on and say like let's handle guilt. What do you think about fear? Like artists having fear?
Fear of what?
Fear of performing while being recorded,
Mm.
fear of public speaking, fear of the FBI coming.
I've never really had musicians that were in trouble with the FBI, but uh, I will say about like stage fright and stuff like that. That's one of those things that generally, 90+% of the time is overcome by just doing it. That's one of those things you can do the whole jump in the water kind of approach to it, and you usually feel a lot better about it. I don't haven't had stage fright in such a long time, but I do remember it like when I was a lot younger, like having a little bit of nerves going on stage. But uh, there's nothing like just doing it, or like if you're afraid of the insurmountable concept of getting in a studio and recording 12 songs or whatever, you just have to get in there and start doing it, and then it seems a lot less imposing once you're in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Kimber and Jenna. Okay, do you guys think that doing a chart reading is like a tiny Goliath? Like every chart reading I do, like, is a little bit nerve wracking, and like I feel like I have to get in there. I have to like talk to this person for an hour. I have to really do a good job. Like it's like I think there can be like these like micro Goliaths that like really are like these little things that are hard every time. Like I've been reading charts for 25 years, and I'm still get nervous every time I have a chart reading.
I think Micro Goliath is a great band name.
Yeah. Is that what you call it? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, it helps to zoom out when you're getting stuck in the weeds and not lose sight of the big picture with our Goliaths. So it is okay to take breaks if you feel like you're losing perspective. Okay, Kimber, this is a really good point. So one of the things I studied was when you have a Goliath, one of the ways to conquer it is shifts in perception. So like let's say you have to get your wisdom teeth out, which is one Goliath I'm kind of dealing with right now, not for me, but it's like, okay, if you can't change the fact that you have to go in and like have your teeth cut out, you can change your perception about it, right? And that's kind of what Kimber's saying is like, can you like zoom out and look at it from a different perspective? And that is something. I mean, how much do you help artists by shifting their perspective?
All the time, you kind of have to do that. It's a million ways to get there, but it's something that you have to do that I have to do all the time.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of talking in production, and a lot of it is tweaking out little things that are blocking people.
Yeah, it's the details. It's the little things. I say it a lot, but yeah. Like people say, don't focus on the little things, but with production and making music, it kind of is the little things that make a huge difference.
Yeah. So like Jenna's saying that, yes, she has a reading next week on these things called trans-Neptunians, and it feels enormous. And it's like, okay, let's talk about that because, Jenna, I feel the same way about readings. Like every one of them is this little like mountain I have to move. And it's like, I think there's a lot of unknowns in a chart reading. Is the person going to talk a lot? Are they going to sit there and make you talk for the whole like 90 minutes? Like, or an hour or whatever it is. Like I always have the feeling of like, am I going to run out of things to talk about? Like, I think there's a lot of unknowns in a chart reading of, because it's like every reading's different and you have to like go in knowing that you're going to respond to what it's like. It's kind of helped me to think of it as not like this hour I have to get through, but like a series of like talking and response. It's like a talking and response series where it's like, I just have to start talking and then they'll respond and that will stim me to talk in something else. But it's like, I don't know how we can look at these readings and not be feeling like we have to move this giant mountain and maybe start enjoying them. I mean, it's like, okay, do you enjoy the process of making a big album or do you do?
I love it.
You don't have that feeling of like, oh my God, I got to get through this thing?
No.
So like, what's your attitude going in? Is it just like...
I mean, it's largely dependent on the situation. Like there are times when it's stressful if you don't have a studio that's working well, or people aren't prepared, which doesn't happen that often. But like, there are stressful moments. But I try to look at it like this is fun. This should be fun. It's music. It should be fun for everybody. Or else why are we doing it? It's just music.
Interesting.
If I was a surgeon or something, it would be a little more life and death. But it's music. And I get paid to make music. So if I'm not having fun, I'm doing it wrong.
Oh, that's a really good... God, I wonder if we could look at chart readings like that and say, like, this is supposed to be fun. Like, if we're not having fun in this chart reading, we're doing it wrong. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess there could be, like, a lighten up kind of thing of just, like, it's just a chart reading. But it's, like, I think that something has happened as, excuse me for being, like, grandiose, but as I've become bigger as an astrologer, each reading is a little bit more Goliath-y because I feel like that my reputation's on the line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a little less fun and a little bit more like I have to prove myself in this case.
There's that. I feel that pressure all the time. Like, this band's whatever, this album, or maybe part of their future depends on my performance, but I'm confident in my abilities enough to know that I'm doing my best at all times,
Mhm.
and so that alleviates a lot of that pressure.
That's actually a really good point. Is like we could look at it and say like, hey, look, I'm going into this reading on Trans-Neptunians and I'm going to do my best, and in that way, I've slayed the Goliath.
Yeah, you're doing your job to the best of your abilities.
Yeah,
100% of the time.
and run into it like don't be like sitting around like, oh God, this reading, and be like, I'm going to run into that reading like David running into Goliath. Okay, so check out this one. Okay, check this. People, if David, it was so people said, how can David kill Goliath? Goliath is so huge.
Mhm.
And what David said was, how can I miss Goliath? He's so huge.
Right.
With his
It's a big
slingshot,
target.
he was like, it's so huge, how can I miss?
It's a
Like,
big target.
that's kind of a shift in perception right there.
And the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
The bigger they are there. So like, how can we apply that to a chart reading? Like you could say, like how can you, someone could say, how can you read a chart? It's so big, there's so much to look at, it's so overwhelming, it's this really complex schematic. And we could change our perception and say the schematic is so complex and full of information, like how could we miss on this reading, because there's always something to talk about. Like,
I mean, I don't know anything about chart readings really, but like, yeah, and it's also going to feel that much sweeter when you pull it off because it was such a big task.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it's like, I think shifts in perception is like the real thing here, and it's like, so what are other big things that we face like on our side of things? Like I think showing up to a conference and really killing it in 3D, because we work online all the time, but like showing up and killing it in the 3D, like, okay, so let's say you just went on a trip to go record a band.
Mhm.
Where were you at?
New Mexico.
New Mexico. So how did that go?
Went really good, except for I injured myself, but yeah, it went really good.
Yeah. So when you go into like a trip like that, like it sounds like you don't really have a fear state. You just have a excitement phase.
Excitement, yeah. I mean, there's some pressure, but I'm used to that pressure, and I kind of thrive on it all the time.
Interesting. Well, okay, so one of the things about the story of David and Goliath is that David won against Goliath. And I think when you're going to be a winner, whether it be a winning astrologer or a winning musician, you have to win. You have to say, I'm going to not crumple under the pressure. I'm going to rise to the occasion.
Yeah. I mean, in the David and Goliath thing, there's a life or death thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hardly ever like that with music, very rarely. But there are things to conquer still,
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to die if you don't pull it off.
Have you ever had a band who couldn't hang under the pressure?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
It's no fun. There's not much you can do about it. I mean, you can keep trying. Like, we eventually ended up beating it, but there's a couple times when there's so much pressure the band couldn't pull it off, and we just had to disperse and come back.
Mm-hmm.
We just had to take some time off and then come back and try it again. That's all you can do.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I do think on our side we are trying to produce winning astrologers. I mean, like I really want our crew to win, and not win against other astrologers, but win in their journey towards self fulfillment. If these guys want to be some of the best astrologers that they can be, like I want them to win at that. If they want to write a book or a series of books, like that's a Goliath. Writing a book, oh my God, you have that Goliath on your ass right now.
I do.
You have to write a book. Yeah. So I think writing a book is one of those things that you got to conquer, and it's like, is it something you should sit there and let loom over your head? I've published 17 books, and I'll tell you, you got to just get up in that file and just go for it.
That's actually something I have struggled with. I have trouble getting started, and I needed somebody to spur me on to like start the process.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I would walk through that book Goliath with you, but it's one of those things that needs like commitment. It's like you have to kind of schedule it and be like on it, otherwise it like like books are like little babies. You gotta gestate and build them. Sorry, I'm stressing you out on your Goliath here.
What?
Okay, let's see. So this guy said you're supposed to rise up and run after it. So you will need to have vision. So they said in order to win, you have to have vision, which is dreams. I mean, I guess so. Like, I guess if let's say you're trying to get your wisdom teeth out, and it's like this, you have all this medical anxiety and like all this kind of stuff. You have to like conjure a vision of yourself through the process and okay. I mean, or if you want to write a book, you have to envision yourself with the book in hand at the end. I mean, do you encourage bands to vision, or how do you deal with
Yeah.
dreams and
Yeah,
visions?
I mean, usually they have that taken care of, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I do that sometimes. Like, you know, picture being done with this at the end of the day, or you know, we're not going to quit until we get this take or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
Remember that time I made you watch that movie about creating the winning image in your mind, Bob Proctor?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's like we had a defeat going on, and I was like, watch this movie about the winning image, and it was like all about like keeping an image in your mind of being a winner, and it's like, they said like see yourself winning. So if you have a book that you want to write, see yourself with the book in hand, having won the book Goliath.
Mm.
Okay.
You notice that there's a goal in Goliath. Whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's
so
good.
That was so
A Goliath. I like that. Okay. All right. So the next part of the lesson, dude. This episode is about winning against obstacles.
There's no I in Goliath. Oh wait, there is.
There's no you in Goliath.
There's no you in Goliath.
Okay, so David was the smallest, but he had a heart for God. Okay, that's what they would say in this sermon. But basically the point of this is like winning is all about heart. So can we talk about like heart? Like as far as, have you ever met like an artist who maybe wasn't the best guitar player, but they had heart?
All the time.
What does that look like?
Just like that. Like they try really hard, and you know, it's hard to hear that recorded. I mean, I can hear it, but like, you know, maybe they don't have like all the talent or the skills in the world, but they have a lot of heart. You can see that when they're performing. You know, you can see it,
Yeah.
and I can hear it a lot of times. And you just have to, you know, try to document the best parts of that performance. But I see it all the time.
Well, I think like if we said, okay, our job is to be perfect, like to slay Goliath, you have to be perfect. That would be one thing, but really, I think perseverance slays Goliath. Like when you really like have something like a big album that you're trying to get done or a book you're trying to write, perseverance is more important than artistic ability even.
Most times it is. You know, most times it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think okay, what do we say? What makes the best astrologer? Well, I think having a heart for astrology is huge.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a lot about astrology, but I would have to say that works across the board. Like, you got to keep trying no matter what. You know, there's a lot of talented people in the world that don't ever try, and they never, you know, nobody ever hears of them.
Mm-hmm.
Or they never, you know, in music, they never like put out a really good album, even though they're shredding musicians because they're lazy or whatever. You got to keep trying, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, it's like I would rather work with astrologers who, because what we do is like help them come up in the astrology world, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would rather work with astrologers who just love astrology and want to go and they want to try and they want, you know, it's like I don't care if, you know, their style of astrology is the best or if it even agrees or if they use the same house system as me. What I care is, do you have the heart and the passion to go and try over and over again? You know, and so I think I would personally rather work with a person who has heart than a person who's perfect or good.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I try to make it so that it's both, you know?
Well, I mean, we do want both. I mean, I think you can tweak the little things, if they get their technicals wrong, you can say, okay, well, that's actually a square, not a sesquiquadrate. Astro speak here, but like you can help them with their technicals. You can help them with their book design. You can help them show up to a conference well. But like, can you give them heart? I really don't know.
I don't think heart is something you can give to somebody. I think you have to have that,
Yeah,
personally speaking. You can inspire somebody to have more heart, maybe,
yeah,
but heart is it has to come from the person. I don't think you can give somebody that.
yeah. Interesting. So, okay, a question for people who are here in the chat: like, what does it look like when someone has a lot of heart? Like, what does that even look like to you? Okay, so here's another our next lesson, which is tangible giants, like an album or a book, are actually conquered by intangibles, like dedication
Hmm.
or mindset, right? So it's like when we think, okay, like I'm going to conquer this book by making every drawing perfect.
Right.
That's actually not necessarily that can actually stop a book from production.
Hmm.
It's like, but dedication, now that can get a book done.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, it's not across the board. Dedication definitely is a motive, prime mover for sure.
Yeah.
It's like a big part of it. It's dedication, and spending time getting things perfect when they don't necessarily have to be. Like, perfection is fleeting. It happens once in a while, but it's hardly ever the case in music anyway.
Yeah.
But like, if you do something, if you spend a lot of time getting something perfect, you could have spent that time being a little more dedicated to other things.
So have you ever, I mean, can you think of an artist that you worked with who had like the most heart, or is it?
No, not necessarily. I wouldn't say that anybody had more heart than another person. Like, most bands I work with, thankfully, have a lot of heart, or else we wouldn't be at the point we're at. We wouldn't be doing the thing we're doing if they didn't have heart, because it took a lot to get here.
Mhm.
Everybody has heart. There's some people that have more than others. There's some people that are diehards that will do this the rest of their life, and
Mm,
it's just because it's their passion. But
yeah.
I wouldn't say, I could name anybody that has more heart than another person.
Well, so I'll tell you something. I teach this class on Mondays in person, in Portland, and I have this group of students. There's maybe like 7 or 8 of them, and oh my god, the heart in that class is just like that. We've gone from zero. We started in March. We've gone from zero to now, like they can read aspects and transits and like all this kind of stuff, and like their heart is just so strong. Like as a group, as a collective, like they show up and they're just in it, and it's like I think there's a magic that happens when, and I do think as a teacher that kind of stems from me having a lot of heart for the subject when I come.
Yeah.
It's like you can infuse others with enthusiasm about your Goliath, like whatever you're trying to conquer. I think you can really spread that heart
Absolutely.
around.
It's infectious.
Yeah. Heart equals enthusiasm. Yeah, I think enthusiasm is part of it. I think dedication, persistence, perseverance, passion for it. Yeah, I guess, how do we define it? There's a lot of ways to define it.
Those things are all part of having heart, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the lessons in this story is to triumph over every obstacle. So it's like, okay, let's talk about this in production. Okay, there have been books that I've been writing where I spent like a year or two on the book, and then we got to the point where we're submitting the file, and I can't figure out how to submit the file. Like, and there's been parts where I'm like, I give up on this book, and it's like someone else is like, you cannot give up on submitting the file, and like in this one case, it came down to that I wasn't clicking. Like, it was like you click color copy, and then another little thing populates, and you have to click that again to get to the part where you submit. But like I wasn't clicking that because it wasn't obvious to me. So this like one little click was like keeping me from the book going through, and it's like,
and you got help and you won.
I got help and I won, but like in some ways I was just like kind of like I didn't have it in me to conquer that obstacle alone in that moment.
You were focused on other things. Maybe if you weren't so focused on it, you would have noticed that box or whatever.
I don't know. I mean, do you ever hit a point in like an album production where you need like an assist by someone?
Occasionally, yeah. Like, usually it's just taking, backing up a little bit, taking 5 minutes, then coming back. Like, that's more common than, something coming in and saving the day kind of thing,
Yeah. That's why I always say don't quit, go take a nap. Like,
Yeah, just come back in a few minutes when you're not bummed out about it.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
That helps with most musical situations.
Yeah, and so I think okay, in dealing with big things, you got to triumph over every obstacle. So let's talk about back to the micro Goliath of chart readings. Let's say the obstacle is that you don't know what to say next. Well, we got to triumph over that obstacle, which is we have to maybe ask a question instead, or maybe we have to think about what are the obstacles in a chart reading that keep us down from that, and then we have to think about what are the micro solutions to those obstacles. I had the obstacle of like, I'm going to run out of things to say. So I made myself this little cup with all these random questions you can ask a chart in it. And I've never used the cup of questions, but if I ever run out of things to talk about, then I will.
Yeah, like one girl, one. Never mind.
What is it?
Nothing. Nothing.
Okay. So like in the whole thing about David running towards the army, like the idea there is like run towards your dream, run towards your goal, run towards your idea. So it's like if you say you want to make a book, run after that right away. Like so there's this whole theory in business where if you're going to be a really good entrepreneur, let's say you have an idea, they say you're supposed to act on it like right away. So like yesterday in my journal, I had this idea like I want to do this ensoulment reading group, and like today I asked Jenna, I was like, let's do it, right? But I learned that in business where you're supposed to just like get an idea, act on it, get an idea, act on it, instead of like waiting for this. And I think that's similar to this like thing of if the Goliath is your goal to like be the best astrologer you can be, like run after every idea quickly, and it's like run into it is like a big part of the lesson.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess there's probably instances where that isn't the smartest thing to do. You know,
Like when? Well,
I can't think of a good example, but like in music, I don't know if it's a Goliath thing, but like you should if you're writing a song, say you gotta maybe try a bunch of different things to know which one's the best thing. You can't just go with the first idea every time.
mm,
You know, I guess it's the same with production. Like, let's see what happens. Like if the snare sound isn't quite there, let's try a different snare drum. Keep trying stuff. Like you got to try a bunch of stuff. You can't just settle on the first thing always.
well, and okay, so I think we're in alignment here because what we would say is you run after the first snare sound because if you don't know that it's not the right sound. You have to run into that snare sound and be like, nope, run out, run into the next snare sound instead of sitting there paralyzed saying, I don't know if we'll get the right snare sound.
Right. Well, yeah, you got to keep trying stuff for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Hit it head on. Okay. I know this is a weird topic for you, but I was really interested in your thoughts on this. Okay. So people are most creative in conflict, and so battle is a learning experience. Okay. So that's what they were saying, but I've actually learned this many times that when people are in conflict, they're more productive and more creative. So if there's a conflict on the way of conquering your thing, that's okay because we get more creative in that. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think that conflict can be taken a number of different ways. Like, doesn't have to be like a full-on argument to be a conflict. It can be like a conflict in yourself about maybe lyrics or like I've always said that like artists write better music when there's something that hurts. Like most music that I prefer to listen to was written by something that where there's turmoil or struggle,
Mhm.
and then maybe that same person years later could become a rock star and they get complacent and soft and the material starts to suck. In my opinion, I think a lot of people feel that way, but that is my opinion. That like when there's some struggle, the music is way better.
Interesting.
And I've always thought that.
So I think when our artists are like struggling, like that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be making their book or they shouldn't be making their podcast. That struggle will end up in the art and make it a little bit more juicy or
Yeah, make it more passionate. If nothing hurts, what do you write about? What do you like? I don't know. It's a thing that happens. People get complacent and then it starts to be kind of soft core stuff.
Well, I think people are stopped by conflict a lot. Like they let's say they run out of thing. Like it's like if you run into battle, like there is a battle, right? Like it's like okay, so
If there's no battle, you sit around and get fat, and you know you lose the next one.
Yeah. Well, and I think, battling your fears, you could say battling your guilt or battling your stage fright is a battle, right? And it's like maybe you run into a conflict there where someone is like, you shouldn't be on stage because you're so full of yourself, or you shouldn't, like, there's these like little conflicts that occur on the way, and they could be internal or external, but I think those are part of, like you're saying, the juice of the whole journey is, like you told me that every album needed drama under that album. Now, we've talked about that in our show a few times, but it's like now you've delineated that there's like good drama and kind of bad drama. But I do think that, like, we could say, like, when there's drama under things or drama under your journey, like, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be running after your dreams. It means that it's like a I don't know, the episode got kind of exciting there, kind of thing.
I think good music, or a good documentation of music, for example, a recording, there has to be some kind of drama, or else it's not, you don't feel the passion behind it.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Interesting. So he was saying, like, stop looking for people to agree with you with what you want to do. Like, so I was reading this book, and it's talking about how when people want to take on a new role, like, there's a lot of people who are like resistant. Like, let's say you take on a new role and you're like, I'm going to be make a podcast, an astrology podcast, and before you were doing something else in your life, there's some people that are going to be like, why are you doing that? That's so weird. What do you think? Are you sure you want to do that? Like, there's going to be a lot of people who like resist what you're trying to overcome or do, you know? And like this guy was saying, like, stop waiting for people to agree with you and just like run after your goal. Like, what do you think about that? Like, people resisting artists or resisting.
Well, as far as music goes, like, I think that having that antagonist is very productive. Like, I was talking to those guys out in New Mexico that I was working with, and there's no scene there, no quote unquote scene there really at all. We were discussing the fact that, like, when there's a bunch of bands and there is a scene, there's competition, and that competition makes you get better. Or there's people telling you, like, oh, that's not going to fly, and like that antagonist makes you get better. Like, competition makes you get better. Competition being the antagonist.
Interesting. Well, I love that. Like, you could be the protagonist in your own story. Like, whatever your goal or dream is, and you start running after it, then you're the protagonist in that story. And then anyone who antagonizes you is just an antagonist, right? Like, right. One who antagonizes.
They're not a pro, they're an antagonist.
Yeah, right. So interesting. So like, looking at those antagonizers or haters or whatever as helping you, be like, thanks for the fuel.
Yeah. That's the thing.
That's really
the fuel. That's a good way to put it. Interesting.
So I think you brought up another comment there about competition. It's like some people look at competitors, or like for us it would be other astrologers or other podcasts or things like that. And it's like, is that something to feel shy or bad about? Well, in business, they say that your competitors are actually your friends, because all together you raise up the field together. Yeah. So the other astrology podcasts that exist are actually raising up the field of astrology, so that when your podcast exists, it's like up here, not down here.
Yeah, like it happens in music all the time. Like a good example I can think of is like grunge. Like, all those bands that were labeled as grunge, they were all kind of compatriots, and like almost coworkers in a way, or teammates in a way, because the whole world was scrutinizing that part of the world. But also within that, there was a lot of competition between bands, and that's what made the bands get really good. If there was only one band, they wouldn't have ever gotten better.
Interesting.
Because they have a certain level to live up to.
I really like that. Like, I feel like the lesson I want to integrate from that for our team is, we could be looking at other, astrology teams and be saying, like, oh, thank you for the inspiration to get better and to keep rising higher. I mean, there's one astrology podcast that gets like 53,000 views, and it's like, people kind of sneer at that podcast, feeling like they've like taken over the industry or whatever. But it's like, first of all, I'm not competing with them, because I actually like to stay small enough to care. Like, there was this quote I heard, it was like, big enough to matter and small enough to care. Like, that's the more impressed. It's like, we're trying to be small enough to care about people, actually. Like, when you get so big, like, you can't really care about your viewers as much, and you know what I mean?
It's less personal.
Yeah, it's less personal. So we actually try to kind of stay like really niche and really small for that reason. But anyway, the point is, I think we could say, And maybe our goal isn't to be the top ranked numbers in astrology, but it's to be one of the coolest crews that exists. Like that. Now that's a goal I would love to run at. Is like our crew is happy. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, how do you know that you're the coolest unless there's somebody to compare yourself to?
That's true. How many Goliaths is too many Goliaths? Jen has like multiple thousands of Goliaths. Jenna, how many Goliaths is two Goliaths, Billy? Too many.
Too many's, I don't know. Like, you can't seem to win anything. I don't know.
I guess.
Bring them all. That's what I said. Bring them all.
I guess if you run out of like David had a slingshot with like things. If you run out of your ammo, you
run out of ammo or energy to throw it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, dude. She's saying "Christmas Cookies" was a hit song because of the drama of our jam session. You remember "Christmas Cookie"?
No.
When we did the Christmas jam session.
Jesus, yeah, I do.
Abundance mindset. Competition is an energetic collaboration. Fearing competition is scarcity mindset. Ooh, that's a really good point. Like, yeah, like we could say like to other astro teams, we could be like, "Thank you for the collaboration." That's really fascinating, Jenna. Like, we could thank them for antagonizing us.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Wow, I love learning with you. Okay, so if you are afraid, keep running.
Keep running away?
No, keep running into the storm.
Yeah, or just keep going. Whether it's saving yourself and running away or headlong into it, you got to keep going. You can't just sit there.
Yeah. Well, and the whole point of this story is to be a champion. I mean, like, I do want to be a champion in astrology, but it's not that I want to be like more views than a person, but I want to grow my fullest life. Okay, so I heard this quote. It was you can count the seeds in an apple, but you can't count the amount of apples made from one seed. Right? Like, so it's like, and when I compare that to a human life, it's like I can't count the amount of like people that I will help in my life as an astrologer. I can't count that, right? Because it's like I have a seed that was planted when I was born, or like, but it's like I can't really count the apples, right? You know what I mean? But you can say, I want to grow this apple seed to the fullest of its ability,
and the best apple.
I want to make it the best apple out of this seed, right? Or like I want it to grow and feed the most of the world that's possible, right?
Yeah.
So I think for our team, that would be us really being a champion is not necessarily getting the most views on YouTube, but saying how many lives can we change, touch, or whatever with our seed in this lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, you got to define victory when you start talking about that, because in most of these kinds of things that we're talking about, there isn't really a clear victory. Not like you would have in sports or like a life and death battle. Victory is what? What is victory in, say, making an album? Finishing the album or finishing it like to everybody's satisfaction? The victory is maybe different for everybody involved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that's a really good thing for us to do if we're taking on the big goal of like being our macro express selves. Then what does that even look like? And I think as a developer, like a producer, that's what I want for everyone we're working with, is for them to be their most expressed self. Yeah. And they're all going to be different, right? Every apple tree is different.
Yep. Every apple tree is different.
Okay, so David is intimidated because his heart is with the Lord. Okay, but there are lions and bears in the story. So he was talking about like lion and bear moments. Like, I think this is when we go into beast mode.
And tigers too, or?
What do you guys think of beast mode? Like, what happens when we go into beast mode on our situation?
Beast mode?
Beast mode. Dude, that's what the kids call it. It's like when you Hulk out on a situation. Like, do you ever just like? Well, I know you do this on albums. Like, you'll stay up for like 4 days in a row to finish an album.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of beast mode.
Kinda.
It's usually just out of necessity, but like, I mean, yeah, I can see that being a thing. Like you could say, "Oh man, that take was totally beast mode." Like you went badass there or whatever.
Yeah,
that happens all the time. But yeah, sometimes you just have to swallow every bit of tiredness and pain and just conquer it.
Yeah.
I guess you could call that beast mode.
Well, okay, I had to tell you about a lion and bear moment I had. So when I worked the Portland School of Astrology and like I left, they called me like all these names like racist and all this kind of stuff. And it's like I sat there with that for many years and felt bad. Had I known this lesson of David and Goliath earlier there, I might have gone into beast mode a lot sooner. But there was a point where I just went into beast mode and I was like, I'm gonna make the shows that are me. Like, and I made like shows dealing with intersections of race and astrology, and they also said I was like anti-trans, so I made all these like shows on gender and astrology, and it's like I basically went into beast mode and made like hundreds of shows to prove that this slander was incorrect, basically. And I think had I known this before, I would have ran head on into that storm a lot quicker. I didn't know to run head on.
Yeah, you didn't, and you can't blame yourself for that.
Yeah. Remember we did the Wall album where I went behind a wall to protect myself when we did the Wall. Yeah.
Now the Wall has a whole different meaning.
Why?
Trump and all that.
Oh, Trump. Oh, interesting. Dude, he's like a living beast.
He's like Goliath for sure.
He's like constant beast mode. Okay. So giants seem larger than they really are. It is not larger than God.
What's not larger than God?
Giants.
I mean,
like whatever you want to create or do is not bigger than like whatever created you that created the want in you to do that thing is bigger than the thing.
I can see that. I mean, I'm not a big God guy, but like I can see that being a truth for some people.
Yeah, totally. This is truth for me. I mean, I don't know. Like, I definitely. Okay, so do I believe in God? Like, no. I know that God exists in language. Like, the word God exists, so God exists. Like, I know that the concept of God exists, and it's like, I just think that for some of the things that we're trying to do, in developing people, it's like sometimes we need like a power greater than any sensible reality because we're trying to do things that like don't make sense. Like we're trying to make mountains out of molehill, or like we're trying to make mountains. You know what I mean? We're not trying to make little things. So it's like, I don't know. I think the concept's really useful. Okay. But I guess the main lesson of this is don't focus on the giant. Focus on the Lord. At least I have to use the Lord. How would you say that in an atheistic sense of like, don't focus on the obstacle, focus on what?
I mean, I have to think about that. I don't know. That's a pretty heavy question.
It's because without the God concept, you don't know what to do. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I'll think about it.
Okay, think about it. Don't worry, I have more notes. Jenna and Kimber, do you have any comments about facing giants or any giants that you want us to process? Okay. Otherwise, I got tons of notes here. Do you have any commentary on giants? Okay. Let's see. Okay. There are medical giants. Let's talk about medical giants. So, I know you hurt your knee, so you got a medical giant going on now.
I have a medical giant.
No, but there's like surgeries you need to have and like, things that you need to face like medically, like even going in to like get a mammogram or like a yearly appointment could be like a medical giant if you're like afraid,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. A lot of people are afraid of medical stuff. I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, if I fear anything about medical stuff, it's how doctors don't really have an interest in making you well.
Oh, because of the medical industry?
Well, yeah. If you're well, they don't have customers,
Well, that's true. Well, that would be like,
that's what I'm afraid of with medicine. I'm not afraid of like going to the doctor or even being operated on.
Well, okay, let's say the giant is like you have a car problem and you don't know what to do about it. I think from what we've learned today, you should run into it head on and start trying out things like look under the hood and be like, is it this? No, not this. I mean,
you should learn a little bit about cars and try to figure it out, or go to a mechanic that you trust.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the same with medicine. It's like you just have to take the look into whatever it is and just get it and go forward one step at a time. I mean, I think sitting on it in fear is not ever the way to conquer it. I think, and that one applies to production because the faster we can get rid of medical issues, the faster someone goes back on camera. Not to make that seem like unemotional, but it's like okay, if people don't go on camera when they have medical problems, like there's certain problems that stop production. Like
Mhm.
okay, like you remember the other day my car died.
Mhm.
And okay, well, you came over and you fixed my car for me.
Oh, yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like that a car problem will stop production. Can't get here, can't get there. Like there's like things that stop production, and like a lot of times what we do is like help face those giants to get them out of the way. And it's like so that's why I think medical giants. As a producer, I always look at those because we got to get them cleared. Like get through it and back to your life's work. Like not necessarily on camera, but your life's work.
Yeah. You got to conquer the things that are stopping you from doing what you do.
Oh my God, Goliath Q. Jenna, that's a good band name. Oh my God.
What is it?
Goliath Q. We always talk about Qs. You know about the Q. Okay. Oh wait, they're multiple Goliaths you want to pursue once. Too many Goliaths. This is making me think I can't be a clown. Like that's taking away from my existing Goliaths and my astro business and personal. No, that bums me out. Well, being a clown is not a Goliath. That's a fun thing to do. Oh, Kimber, don't ever let a Goliath stop your clowning. I think you got to clown around through all the Goliaths, is what I would say. I don't know. Jeez, we lost a clown over Goliaths, man. Now that's sad. Okay. Cheers to that, Billy. Okay. Well, this has been a really useful talk. I know it's a weird topic, but I really did want to hear what you had to say.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth.
Mm.
Well, a lot of it starts with a spiritual perspective of the problem. Don't just look at the visible, physical part of the problem. Do a shift in perspective. Look at things that are not seen and operate with divine alignment. Don't let the Goliath ruin your life, etc. All right. Kimber, please clown around through all the struggles, please. That's why we do the clowning. It really does help. Well, thank you, Billy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kimber and Jenna. I love having you in the conversations because I know that they're kind of actually meant. The reason to talk to a producer is to help in us developing our team and ourselves, and so yeah. All right, and I will say that if we have any big giants, we should handle them as a team together, and that is a thing. All right, everyone, have a good day. Bye. All right, we can have one-on-one time. Bye.